Yeehaw!
Welcome to The Know. I'm Brian.
I'm John.
You probably already know this, but Red Dead Redemption 2, it's out tomorrow.
Oh, it's out tomorrow. Okay,
yeah. See you, John. Preload that shit.
Yeah.
It is, needless to say, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, release of the year.
Let's call it the biggest cowboy release of the year.
Definitely.
Okay. And today we're getting reviews in of Rockstar's epic western, so let's see what the critics thought.
TLDR, they liked it a lot. Red Dead Redemption 2 scores are putting it really among the best reviewed games of this generation. It's up there with like Breath of the Wild and all those. Yeah.
It's got a 97 on both Metacritic and OpenCritic, which is putting it in all-time great territory.
Critics love the game's world, its story, and Rockstar's trademark polish, all of which culminate in a game that some are already calling a classic.
That's stupid. You
What do you
can't
mean?
call it a classic.
Well,
It's new. It can't be a classic. Call
Yeah.
it a classic in like at least like 6 months.
we're in full-on hype mode.
Yeah, it's a class. No, it's not a classic. It's good.
Right.
The Guardian wrote, "There can be no doubt that this is a landmark game. It is a new high watermark for lifelike video game world, certainly. But that world is also home to a narrative portrait of the Wild West that is unexpectedly somber and not afraid to take its time."
God is a Geek wrote, there was never any doubt that Red Dead Redemption 2 was going to be good, but this is something special, a masterpiece that many will be talking about for decades to come. So that's kind of classic.
Yeah, I think at this point it would have been even more surprising if like people had been like, "Wow, it actually really sucks."
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
terrible. The game's story centers around Arthur Morgan, who is a top member of a gang of outlaws, but it's set in the year 1899 as the days of the Wild West are drawing to a close and civilization is closing in.
Definitely a Wild Bunch story they're going for here. But while you're constantly on the run, you'll be running through a really, really beautifully detailed world. Not surprisingly, that world getting a ton of praise. The Verge called it the most convincing open world game ever made.
You went with a Wild Bunch reference, but if I'm going to go with the Wild West ending because of civilization and
Yep.
advancement, I'm going to go with Wild Wild West.
The Will Smith movie?
Yeah, it was like technology was impending, the railroads being made, it's coming in, civilization is ruining the West.
Is Arthur Morgan gonna rap the theme song to the game?
Wild, Wild West, Jim West, Desperado, Rough Rider. No, you don't want nada.
Eurogamer called it a vast, staggeringly detailed open world, adding this is Rockstar's broadest canvas since Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, quite possibly even more so with what no longer feels like a take on a single city or state, but practically an entire country.
Ooh, I love San Andreas. That would have sold me, but I already bought it.
Yeah.
IGN wrote that while parts of the first Red Dead Redemption's map are included in this game, this one overall is broader, more beautiful, and more varied by a massive margin.
IGN wrote, "There are snowy peaks and dank alligator-infested swamps, thick forests and open plateaus, quaint homesteads and grand plantations, narrow streams and great lakes, dusty gulches and dim caves. The vast assortment of ecosystems environments seamlessly stitched together here is nothing short of remarkable."
Of course, there's also a ton of things to do in that big world, from robberies to hijacking stagecoaches to hunting and fishing. That actually plays a big part in the game, and there's all those different species of animals.
I'm down for it. God is a Geek wrote, "There is so much to do in RDR2 that you'll never get bored. It's one of those games that has a never-ending supply of water cooler moments. You may have a mission you want to do, but along the way you encounter a member of one of the gangs and overhear them planning on a heist. I found myself intervening with a bunch of them after hijacking a stagecoach, only to kill them myself and loot their guns." Games.
Savage.
Yeah.
As for the game's structure, some reviewers noted it is definitely patterned after other Rockstar games, so if you played Rockstar games before, you will be familiar.
Cool. The Verge wrote, "Structurally, the game is very reminiscent of GTA 5. Most missions involve sneaking in somewhere to steal something or kill someone, and eventually they devolve into a shootout. RDR2 has a very heavy feel to it that fits with the setting. The guns have a real weight to them and take time to reload, while fistfights can be brutal, violent slogs that seem ripped out of Netflix's Daredevil."
Speaking of combat, Destructoid said it is the best part of the game, writing Deadeye returns, and although the concept is as old as dust, 17 years removed from Rockstar published Max Payne, it allows for the further beautification of some of the more hectic confrontations.
The game takes place 12 years before the original, and this time it's Arthur Morgan who is at the center of it all, although John Marston is in the game.
Eurogamer called Morgan a less fleshed out creation than John Marston, though that's possibly by design. Those small choices you're afforded enable you to build your own reading of him. Whether you push him towards sainthood or villainy, he's never quite as compelling either, and as a result, it's hard to get a grasp on what exactly Red Dead Redemption 2 is about.
And as Arthur, your life revolves around the camp, which is where you go in between missions to sleep and interact with the rest of the game.
The Guardian wrote that these characters are rendered believable by technology that makes them look and move like real people, actors giving excellent performances with unexpected range, and writing that probes at their weaknesses and preoccupations. As you ride with them on robberies, hustles, and other misadventures, they share anecdotes and personal observation that build over hours into rich portraits.
And while most critics loved the game, the praise was not universal. Slant Magazine gave the game its lowest score that we saw, 3.5 out of 5 stars.
People are already mad at them.
They can have their opinion.
While praising the game's immersive world, the reviewer knocked what they called Rockstar's bullish commitment to a clunky control scheme, as well as middling gunplay feedback and a few too many stealth segments.
That is a bit rough.
Yep.
And for a game committed to authenticity, Slant noted that it's a bit too easy to shake bounties, as Arthur, writing, once he has a bounty, it's a simple matter of traveling to the nearest post office to pay the $80 fine for murdering 20 lawmen and then being on your merry way. Red Dead Redemption 2 never quite squares its themes with the need to give players an open-world cowboy fantasy.
Overall, though, the vast majority of reviewers loved this game.
VG247 called it a brave prequel that isn't afraid of taking risks. It is innovative, surprising, stunning, dramatic, and generous, a highlight of this generation and a benchmark for other open-world games to aspire to.
And EGM, they already have what's kind of the money quote so far. They wrote, "Criticisms often come easier than compliments, but in the case of Red Dead Redemption 2, I am at a loss. This is one of the most gorgeous, seamless, rootinest, tootinest games ever made, and if you voluntarily miss out on it, you're either not a gamer or in a coma."
That's a bit harsh.
Really?
Let me
live my life, EGM.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm a little short this month.
I mean, I get they're trying to really praise it, but you don't have to play the game. There's a lot of good games I haven't played yet, and I consider myself still a gamer.
Yeah, it's up to you.
Yeah.
This doesn't decide whether you're a gamer.
Just means you're not a cowboy.
That's right.
That's all it is.
So that about wraps up the reviews for Red Dead Redemption 2. Are you planning to pick it up? Let us know in the comments.
And for all your Red Dead Redemption 2 news, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the Rootin' and Tootin'est No. Better yet, check out our website, theknow.tv.
It's also rootin' and tootin'.
We're all rootin' and tootin' here.
All the time.
24/7.
Woohoo!
All right, John, Wild Wild West, go. Sing it. Wow, I don't know the theme. I don't know the words.
Writing Deadeye returns, and although the concept is as old as dust, 17 years removed from Rockstar published Max Payne, it allows for some further...